Remember the famous old tale? A bored shepherd boy shouts, "Wolf, help!" for kicks. Villagers sprint up the hill, find nothing. Shepherd does it the second time. Villagers come for help again, but this time they swear off his warnings. The third time, when a real wolf appears, villagers ignore his cry for help. Result, the flock is scattered, some dead, and some flee because no one trusts him anymore. Today, I'm not here to cry wolf because I very well know the risks of it. Today's topic examines documented patterns throughout history when crisis, real or manufactured, becomes a pretext for dismantling democratic guardrails. We will explore how constitutional protections can erode when powers used during real emergencies become normalized, drawing connections across time that may feel uncomfortably familiar. We go back to Berlin of February 27, 1933. Germany's Reichstag, the parliament building, goes up in flames. It is a clear case of arson. Marinus van der Lubbe, a Dutch communist, was later convicted and executed. But who caused this arson is still debated by historians today. But the origin of the fire is not even relevant in this discussion. The opportunity that the Nazi Party seized to make Germany a single-party dictatorship is the lesson. Within 24 hours of the fire, Adolf Hitler declares it a communist plot against the state. President Hindenburg signs the Reichstag Fire decree, suspending all civil liberties, privacy protections, and habeas corpus, the legal principle requiring the government to justify why it's holding someone in custody. Only 6 months before the fire, in November of 1932, Nazi Party was only holding 33% of parliamentary seats. Pay attention to this course of events. In January 30 of 1933, Hitler becomes the chancellor. Within a month, in February 27, 1933, Reichstag Fire happens. The very next day, February 28 of 1933, civil liberties are suspended. Within another month, March 23 of 1933, Enabling Act is passed, which grants Chancellor Adolf Hitler the power to enact laws without parliamentary approval. This act effectively established a dictatorship in Germany as it allowed Hitler to bypass parliamentary oversight and consolidate more and more power. By July of same year, 1933, all other political parties are banned. To draw a modern-day parallel, imagine if the Democrats in power had outlawed the Republican Party and jailed Republican politicians after the January 6th of 2021, the attempted insurrection. Luckily, it did not happen in 2021 America. But this pattern, crisis followed by expansion of executive power, appears repeatedly throughout the history.
I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now.
Recently, on a flight from Dallas to Chicago, I found myself reading Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century. At just 128 pages, this book examines how fragile democratic institutions can be when tested by unchecked forces that are determined to undermine or even obliterate them. Today, I'll base my video around this book, which was first read in 2017, but is shockingly more relevant by the day. I have linked the book in the description. You should check it out. It's a quick read, but fascinating.
Full disclaimer, the link is an Amazon affiliate link, meaning I'll get a small kickback if you pick it up. Democratic backsliding in America has been slower than in 1930s Germany, for sure, because our constitutional structure has more distributed power. But the stress tests continue. This unprecedented attempt to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power revealed vulnerabilities in our system that our institution ultimately withstood, but just barely. James Madison, the architect of the US Constitution, warned that tyranny often arises on some favorable emergency. The question becomes, is the emergency real, manufactured, or somewhere in between? Back then, it was Lügenpresse or lying press. Now, it is fake news.
Fake news. CNN. Fake.
We are fighting the fake news. Fake. Phony. Fake. Ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people. That I called the fake news the enemy of the people. The fake news. Only against the fake news media or press. Fake. Fake.
Two phrases separated by nearly a century, but serving the same purpose. In the book, Snyder's Lesson 10, Believe in Truth, He explores how manipulating information is followed by power consolidation. The German propaganda machine labeled opposition newspapers Lügenpresse or lying press. Today's fake news accusations serve a similar function, undermining trust in factual information sources that can challenge official narratives to firmly stand against a propaganda machine when called upon. The results of this manufactured emergency and invasion.
Immigrant invasion, the worst that's ever been seen anywhere in the world. There's never been an invasion like this anywhere. Third world countries would fight with sticks and stone not to let this happen. The invasion at our southern border, we will stop it, and we will stop it quick.
You do not need to be a rocket scientist to know that there is no real invasion of the US by anything, let alone by a criminal gang from El Salvador. Kilmar Armando Abrego García, a father, a Maryland resident for 13 years, has no criminal record. Despite a federal court order to stop his deportation, he was transported to El Salvador's Secot prison facility. This maximum security prison, according to El Salvador's own justice minister, is designed so inmates can only exit in a coffin. What's at stake here isn't whether dangerous criminals deserve punishment. It's whether individuals receive due process the day at the court to determine if they are criminals at all.
Is now acknowledging they wrongly deported an immigrant to that notorious prison in El Salvador, calling it
an administrative error.
An administrative error.
A clerical error. It was an administrative error.
Mistakenly deporting a Maryland father.
This so-called administration error has destroyed my family's happiness, my children's innocence.
If the court order can be ignored in one case, what prevents similar disobedience in other situations?
We also have homegrown criminals.
Does that include potentially U.S. citizens fully naturalized immigrants?
No, if it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem.
This Oval Office conversation, where President Trump told President Bukele of El Salvador about homegrowns, referring to U.S. citizens, clearly suggests potential expansion of extrajudicial detention beyond non-citizens to Americans, which should ring alarm bells from DC to Wyoming.
White House's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, has recently said the Trump administration is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus.
The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at.
Habeas corpus, the right of a person to challenge the detention in court.
Activists call it an ongoing crisis as ICE has begun detaining and deporting legally resettled former Bhutanese refugees in the Rochester area.
Our people are being deported. Our people are being detained. And it is really sad what is going on right now. Back to the very country who once denied our very own existence.
These families who fled ethnic cleansing once are now again facing deportation. The Lotsamba people, ethnic Nepalese from Bhutan, faced systematic expulsion from their homeland Bhutan in the 1990s. After living legally in the United States for years, decades even, some have been put on charter flights home to a country that does not even recognize their citizenship. WITF, the public broadcaster, and The Guardian documented these lawful permanent residents of the United States pushed across the Bhutan-India border within 24 hours of arrival, rendering them stateless once again. These deportations rely on the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a law created during conflict with France that provides the president broad powers to detain or remove non-citizens from countries with which the US is at war or is threatened by an actual invasion. Harvard Medical School's neuroscientist Ksenia Petrova detained at the JFK airport after attending a scientific conference. An astrophysicist with multi-year research clearance, a medical researcher working on cancer treatments, a semiconductor engineer with specialized expertise. The list goes on. Between visa cancellation and some restoration, the number is slightly nebulous. But over 1,000 of visa cancellations have been documented, affecting researchers, medical professionals, and international students since March. Remember that among the first to take hit during dictatorial regimes are free media and free-thinking educational institutions, universities, and their stakeholders. Meanwhile, the actions previously deemed criminal by our justice system are now receiving blanket pardons. This selective application of law creates a two-tier justice system where some actions which may not be in the personal interest of the ruler are prosecuted, while others, even though blatantly illegal but aligned with those in power, are excused, pardoned even. First, they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there is no one left to speak for me. These powerful verses from Pastor Martin Niemöller, who initially supported the Nazi movement before opposing it. His reflection captures the gradual erosion of solidarity that enables authoritarian expansion from one sect of the society to next. The Reichstag Fire decree, meant as an emergency measure, became a permanent fixture of Nazi governance. It was quite literally how the Germany became a single-party country. Today, we see the resurrection of the Alien Enemies Act, a 225-year-old wartime measure to justify mass deportations outside normal immigration processes. Our institutional safeguards function only when we actively maintain them. You may be asking, so what can we do? Consider 3 actions.
Number 1, inform yourself. Snyder's On Tyranny provides historical context for recognizing democratic erosion and patterns they usually follow. Topics covered in this video are only a small part of this book. This book goes into much greater, eerily familiar details. It is imperative that us Americans are as informed as we can be.
2. Support due process. Volunteer or donate to legal aid organizations that ensure that rights exist in practice, not just on paper. 3. Engage with Congress. Call your representative and tell them specifically that if they believe in the constitutional rights to due process, they should work to repeal the Aliens Enemy Act and amend the Section 237 of Immigration and Nationality Act, which lets the Secretary of State to decide what counts as free speech for immigrants. As Snyder notes, history gives us the company of those who have done and suffered more than we have. Our task is a lot more modest, maintaining institutional guardrails through civic engagement. Constitutional protections are not self-enforcing. They require citizens willing to respect and uphold them, especially during the times of manufactured emergency like this. There is no invasion. That's it for this video. I would love to engage with you in the comments. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. It lets the algorithm do its magic. And click here if you want to understand the genesis of Ukraine-US relationship and the present-day context that's shaping the entire transatlantic geopolitics. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.